Type 2 diabetes is an insidious disease that sets in silently and gradually. It is dangerous and chronic. 1 in 10 adults has diabetes, and 1 in 10 adults is pre-diabetic. 90% of diabetes are type 2 diabetes, and we are talking about a real epidemic, because the expected increase in type 2 diabetes between 2020 and 2045 is 47%. It is an insidious disease because a high blood sugar level, i.e. chronic hyperglycemia, will settle in the various tissues, arteries, nerves, and induce chronic complications. And the problem is that a sugar level of 2 grams per liter doesn't hurt, and the diagnosis only comes late when the complications appear, meaning 10 years later sometimes, unless the subjects at risk are systematically screened. Diabetes is the leading cause of blindness in developed countries, the leading cause of amputation, and the leading cause of end-stage renal failure. Diabetes also increases the risk of myocardial infarction by 3, and the risk of developing cancer or Alzheimer's disease by 2. It is a chronic disease, meaning we will live with it all our life and there is no cure. Thousands of cases could, however, be avoided. If we know that the risk increases in people with a family history of type 2 diabetes and in subjects aged 45 and over, it has nevertheless been well demonstrated that regular physical activity, limiting the time spent sitting, and a balanced diet can prevent you from type 2 diabetes. Prevention goes through the content of the plate. As usual, it is a question of having a balanced diet and a normal sugar intake. Walking, swimming, cycling, gardening, doing craft, physical activity is as important as diet to manage and prevent type 2 diabetes. Practicing 30 minutes of regular physical activity can halve the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Moreover, when you do physical activity, the muscle consumes glucose, which makes it possible to reduce to lower blood sugar levels. To be distinguished from physical inactivity, sedentary lifestyle is defined by the time spent sitting behind screens during transport, during work, or during leisure time. In general, it is therefore necessary to reduce the total time spent sitting, but also to get up regularly every hour for 1 to 3 minutes and to move. Overweight and obesity promote the development of type 2 diabetes. This is why we ask these subjects to lose at least 5% of their weight by having a balanced diet and doing regular physical activity. However, weight is not the only parameter to consider. It is also necessary to take into account the increase in abdominal fat, which increases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. It is assessed by measuring the waist circumference. Tobacco is not the main risk factor, but it nevertheless increases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. To effectively prevent diabetes, it is essential to identify those at risk, and especially pre-diabetic people, because this stage is reversible. People with a family history of type 2 diabetes, women with polycystic ovaries, women who have had gestational diabetes, overweight or obese people, and people aged 45 or over are at risk. They should be regularly screened and monitored. After 40, everyone should have their blood sugar checked regularly.